Hello, good afternoon to each and everyone. How are you doing in this pandemic time? Students, always stay safe. Though we are in a pandemic situation that push students to stay at home, yet education continues. As we all know that learning is a continuous process, whether you're at home or you are in school. Distance learning has presented many challenges for you and your family, and it is a challenge for me as well. So the only thing I can say, do what you can and understand that we teachers are with you. We are all doing best we can with the situation we find ourselves in. Try your best to keep update in your scenes where I will keep posting assignments, videos, and other resources as reference for a better understanding. I will be within your reach to guide and to help you virtually. So after the presentation, my number is posted there. So I have prepared a slides for you today's lesson. So please listen carefully because at the end of the discussion, you are given a task to do for your assessment. But first and foremost, I am Evelyn Alegre, your science teacher. So I'll be handling for this school year 2020-2021. So to start with, fasten your seatbelt for we are about to take off in few seconds. What do you think is in the picture? Of course, you all know that. Yes, the solar system. What keeps the planet moving? Okay, try to look at the picture. I know you are familiar with this picture. The cheetah, peregrine falcon, Usain Bolt. Can you guess what's common among them? Yes, they are the world's fastest. But have you ever wondered what makes them move the way they do? Why do some things move faster than the others? Okay, we have here another situation. In an airplane and other land vehicles, why we are required to buckle our seatbelts? In riding motorcycles, we adhere to the helmet policy. Do we really understand why we are asked to do such? So, these are the things that we are going to find out in our lesson for today. But before that, in this lesson, you are expected to define force and motion, determine balance and unbalanced force, understand each other law of motion state, investigate the relationship of the amount of force applied to the mass of the object to the amount of change in the object's motion. Models passengers' body response to changes in motion. But as we go along with our discussion, I want you to take note of this or to take note of the following questions. 1. What does force have to do with motion? Second, how can motion be controlled? Third, how can we take advantage of our knowledge on motion? So motion has been common and familiar concept to all even before one has learned to walk. But is our grasp of concept enough to understand the different kind of motion that is happening around us? We are surrounded by a variety of moving objects in our day-to-day lives. An object to be moving is said to be in motion. Motion when an object changes position over time. When compared with a reference point, we say that the object is in motion. Now, what causes an object to move? Of course, it is a force. All motion is due to forces acting on an object. So maybe you will ask, can more than one force act on an object at the same time? Yes, it is. Example, gravity is pulling you down to earth. The ground is supporting you, and your legs moving you forward as you run or as you move. So, in this sense, the total combination of the forces acting on that object is what we call the net force. So, what is really a force? Is any interaction when an opposed will change the motion of an object. A force can cause an object with mass to change its velocity, which includes to begin the moving from a state of rest. To accelerate, a force has both magnitude and direction, making it a vector quantity. Or, simply, a force is a push and a pull. A force can give energy to an object, causing a force can start moving, a force can stop from you in moving, or a force can change you in direction, or change direction of motion. So there are many forces on this earth. Every object on earth experiences various forces. So we have friction force and gravitational force. So what is a friction? Friction is a force that opposes the motion of an object. Friction, it is a contact force. It occurs when an object in motion rubs against a surface, or a contact reduces the speed of the object and it releases heat. So we have here the illustration for you to better understand. Now, what is a gravity? A gravity is the force of attraction between all objects. Gravity is the force with which objects pull one another. It is a gravitational force that keeps us bound to the Earth. It also makes the Earth and other planets revolve around the Sun. So the amount of gravity depends on two things. What are these? The object's masses and the distance between the two objects. So if you are going to figure it out, the Earth is so large. Everything on it is attracted to it even if they are not touching. Example, apple fall. Apple fall because the gravity of the Earth. So, Any question about motion and force? So if there is none, we will proceed. So what is a balanced force? Okay, try to look at this illustration. A man standing. Okay, the arrow pointing upward shows the direction that the floor pushes upward on the person. And the arrows down, the gravity pull downward to the person. And having equal force applied, so the person is an example of a balanced force. Now, another example. Suppose a man is trying to push the wall. Now, you notice that the man and the wall did not move. So why do you think so? Okay. Because the man and the wall applied equal force. 10 Newton exert by the man pushing the wall and 10 Newton by the wall pushes towards the man. So, or we can say both applied equal forces in magnitude. So what they do, they cancel the effect of each other and the net force is equal to 0. So that means it is a balanced force. Okay, we have here another example. In the game tug of war, we notice that both of the teams are pulling each other. So, looking at the force applied on both teams, 15 Newton and 15 Newton. So, neither the team on the left nor the team on the right is able to pull the team towards themselves because they exert equal and opposite forces. So, they cancel the effect on each other, so the net force is 0. So, therefore, it is a balanced force. So, balanced force do not cause a change in motion. They are equal in size and opposite in direction. So I hope everything is clear when you talk about balanced force. So any other questions about balanced force? So if there is none, then we can proceed to your activity. So your activity, you can go and log into the link that is given to you. So we will proceed to the next. So now, what is unbalanced force? Okay, try to look at this picture or illustration. When you throw a ball in an upward direction, normally the fall is on downward position because a gravitational force acts on this which pulled it down, or magnitude of gravitational force is greater than all other forces. So unbalanced force, when forces are in an equal magnitude, the force act on object is unbalanced force. Okay, we have here another example. So look at this seesaw. You have here the first person and the second person. So if you can see, the first person have greater mass. So therefore, he exert greater force than the second person who is lighter than the first person. So that is why the first person goes downward and the second person go upward. So in this figure, an equal force acts on opposite side and make the person move. So again, this is an example of unbalanced force. So unbalanced force is one in which the net force is greater than zero. So do you think there will be any motion? Of course, there is. So only an unbalanced force can change the motion of an object because the net force is not equal to zero. So any question about unbalanced forces? Then, if none, we will proceed. So this is a summary of balanced and unbalanced forces. An object may be acted upon by several forces. For example, an object may be pushed and pulled in different directions at the same time. To identify which of these forces would be able to cause change in the motion of the object, it is important to identify all the forces acting on it. To accurately describe the forces acting on an object, it is important for you to be familiar first with the properties of forces. We have magnitude, which refers to the size and strength of the force. It is expressed in Newton. Direction, the direction of the movement indicates the force, while the length represents the relative magnitude of the force. And we have the line of action, the straight line passing through the point of application and is parallel to the direction of the force. So it is being illustrated in this slide. So unbalanced force, when the net force of an object is not zero, then it produces a change in motion. Balanced force, when the net force on an object equals zero. So meaning to say, this do not produce change in motion. Okay, so any other questions or any questions about balance and unbalanced force? If none, then you are instructed to proceed to the link for the activity and for the quiz. So thank you and have a blessed day. See you next.